Hey, this is Andrew Brown, and we're taking a look at Hugging Face. So if you've never used Hugging Face before, it is awesome because it contains models, data sets, and more. But Hugging Face is not just a website, a repository for things, but they also have a series of plugins that make it really easy to work with models. And so you're absolutely going to learn, definitely learn about a bunch of the different types of Hugging Face things. And so you can see we have transformers, diffusers, data sets. These are other libraries that you can utilize, right? So we have a bunch of libraries, and then there's Hugging Face itself, right? So what I'd like to do is maybe download a model and play with something here. But anyway, make yourself an account. Once you have your account, you're good. Often what we'll have to do is set tokens. So I'm not sure if I have any access tokens around here. Right now it wants me to log in, so just give me a moment. There we go. So I'm in my Hugging Face account. I'm going to go ahead and delete my key for now. And this is something that you'll have to do a lot is create a key to work with models. But we'll come back to this just in a moment, as what I want to do is look at some possible models that we could work with. So if we click on models here, you can see there is a lot, right? Now, we're specifically interested in large language models, but there are of course, other ones that we might be interested in. But you can see there's just tons and tons because there are base models or foundational models, and then people train these models to do other things. So you can end up with a lot of stuff you wouldn't expect. But what's interesting here, we have like text to 3D. I don't know much about that, but that might be fun to give it a go at some point here. But yeah, it's really hard to tell like what's a big deal and what's not. But I guess we can go here like the most downloads. It looks like OpenAI Shape E is a very popular one here. And I think I already have access to this model as I've already accepted stuff. But a lot of times when you work with models, like let's say we go over to Intel here, not that one, but some of these will expect you to accept terms. So I'm just trying to find one where I haven't already done this before. So if I go to here and I want to use this model, it's not happening right now. But anyway, sometimes you have to accept the terms, and so you have to look very carefully here and make sure that you accept the terms before you use them. Otherwise, they won't let you use them, and there can be a waiting period. I'm just sorry that I can't show you that directly. But with Hugging Face, sometimes they have options on how you can deploy models. Now, this one is all we have is diffusers. But with other ones that are maybe different, if we go back over to here, let's go to something like natural language processing. So let's say we went text classification here, right? And we choose anything here. We have more options, right? So here we have options on how we can deploy it, how we can train it, how we might use the models with specific libraries. So if I click to this, it'll give me exact code on how we could work with this. And so this is something that we could utilize. So I'm just going to go here and take a look here. As deploy can sometimes be useful because if you're trying to figure out what amount of compute you need, sometimes they'll tell you in here. But as you can see, there isn't much information, so they don't have anything for this one. But we go over to, let's say, SageMaker, and you carefully look here, they might tell you that this is using ML M5 X large, and then you could look that up and say, okay, what size is this thing here? Right, so I'll go here, and I'm going to look for that model, ML M5 X large. And, as per usual, AWS's UI is terrible. I don't want RunPod. Get out of here, RunPod. I just want to know how large it is. Come on, you can find it for me. That's an ML M5. It's going to be an M5 X large. So that's going to have 4 vCPUs, 16 gigabits. But then if we wanted to look up the cost, we'd have to look up pricing for that, right? So this, again, is exactly how we would do it on SageMaker. If there was a jump start, we could do it that way. If we wanted to use Inferia and Trainium, we could do it that way. So the code is available to us. Google Cloud. Apparently, it just opens up another tab and doesn't show us anything, but we'll get that sidebar with all our information in it. And we have a certain amount that we could deploy. So this is something that we could deploy this way. So it's like single click deploy, which is really, really nice. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Obviously training, but if we look at transformers, that might be another way that we could utilize it. But anyway, let's go over and use something practical. So Llama 3.2, assuming that is still available, 1B is a very good starting model. And the reason why it's a good starting model is that it's very small, so you can run it on most machines. Or even on compute. So this is something that I think I'd like to work with here today. I'm just trying to decide where to run this because I want it to work for everybody. So maybe what we should do is try to deploy it to something. Maybe we can use Lightning AI today. That's what I'm going to do. So let's go make our way over to Lightning AI. Okay. Just because it's so easy to start working with it. And they probably already have a Llama 3.2 one here, but I just want to get started from scratch. So I'm going to go up to here, and I just want to launch myself the studio. Now, the UI is a little bit all over the place, but I'm going to go to My Studio. Start a project from a template. I don't want to start from a template. I just want to start creating. So the wording is a little bit funny. Let's go to Home, maybe. Here we go. And so now I can go ahead and start a new studio. And we have code, and we have a model language. So let's go ahead and hit start. I don't have it defaults to GPUs. I want it to start on CPUs, but we'll see what happens here in just a moment. So it's on CPUs, which is fine. But with Llama 3.2, we do need GPUs actually if we want to work with this. But we're going to start with CPUs first. Okay, and we're going to let this environment spin up, okay? All right, so our Lightning AI environment is up, and so you can work in a Jupyter Notebook or in here. How do I want to work with this today? I think I will work in Jupyter. I think I prefer Jupyter here today. So it's up to you. You can either or. It's the same compute, but I'm going to switch over to that. We also have TensorBoard here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and make myself a new notebook for Python 3. And I'm going to rename this to Hugging Face Basic. So Hugging Face HF Basic, just so we know what that is. And so we'll start working with this. So how can we work with this model? Well, first you have to accept the terms. So see, it says gated model, you have been granted access. So be very careful and do this, because I've seen people where they think they've gotten it, but they actually really haven't done it yet. And so this is where we can start pragmatically working with this model. So we go over here. We have transformers and VLLM. So VLLM is a way of serving a model, but transformers is another way. So here it's suggesting that we use the Hugging Face CLI to log in. So log in with a HF token with a gated access permission. I suppose that's one way. I'm just going to provide the token directly, as that is another way for us to do it. But I'm going to go ahead and grab this code here. And I can go back over to here. And so that'll be the first thing. I'm going to have to go above here, and we're going to have to do a pip install transformers. Okay, so that's going to... Could not find a version of the package that satisfies transformers. I probably spelled it wrong. There we go. Why they need to call it Hugging Face Transformers, I don't know. It really is confusing, their naming here. If you don't like all the stuff there, you could do -q. And it will still install, but it'll just be less noisy. So we have that. We do need to set our Hugging Face API key, so that is something that we'll need to set. I'm going to make my way over here in a new tab. So I'm going to go here and then go to access tokens. I'm going to create a new token, set it to read, and this is just going to be HF example. And we're going to create that token. And so now I have a token. So there's a Hugging Face endpoint. It's like Hugging Face. I mean, I've never tried the Hugging Face CLI. Well, it's not that I've never tried it, but it's been a while. So I'm actually just curious if we were to use that. But Hugging Face CLI I found was kind of a pain to install. So I'm not sure. We could try it. Yeah, so we have this. So I'm going to grab it here. I don't trust running it in this context. I'm going to go ahead and make a new terminal here. And I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to type in clear. Does this have conda installed? It does. But I'm not sure if we are doing that in that context, because all these environments are in different contexts, right? But we only have the one here, so I'm assuming it's already set to that one. I'm not sure. Or what we could do before we do that was just do conda list. Maybe it'll tell us, no, that's not it. Conda env. Conda, because I'm assuming it's using Conda underneath. I just want to see what environments we have. We have packages. Just show me what possible environments we have. I'm not sure why it's so hard to find. Oh, right. Maybe the environment's like a local thing. Okay. Well, anyway, I think it's using Python 3 here, and we did install that there. So let's go ahead and just see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll just circle back and do something else. Okay, but this is not usually the way I like to do it. But I'm just trying something different for a change. So it says enter your token here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and grab it. From here, copy. Of course, use your own token. Don't take mine. I'm going to delete mine anyway, so you're not going to get it. I'm going to hit enter. Add token as get credential. Sure. I don't know. So can authenticate get credential as no helpers defining your machine. Sure. Okay. There we go. We'll try this again. I'm going to go ahead and I realize this is small, so I'm just going to bump it up a little bit. I'm going to go and grab this again. We'll copy it. We'll go back over to here. We'll paste it in. We'll hit enter. We'll say yes. And now it says it's active. Okay, so just because it works in here does not necessarily mean it will work in here. And so this just really has to do with, again, with this environment and whether I'm actually in the same context as this environment. But I don't know where that environment is. Usually when you have conda, it will do parentheses and tell you, but this looks like it's a bit modified, so I can't really tell what's going on. I guess I could type in conda info and see what I get. And so, oh, it's telling us where it is. It's right here. Okay, so this is the environment that is activated called Cloud Space. Not exactly the same name as here, but it might be okay. So I guess we'll see. But anyway, what we have here is we have the transformers, and then we are making a pipeline. We have text generation, meta, llama, 3.21 billion. So this should download the model, right? So if I hit play here, this should download the model. Okay. If we go down here, we might get a problem about cannot grant access. So it doesn't think it's set, right? And so this is what I mean where I'm having a little bit of an issue. So, oh, I always forget how to do it. Let's go ask ChatGPT. How do I load an envar into Jupyter Labs? Because I imagine we can make like a .env file and load it that way. Yeah, that's one way. So that's what I was thinking. That's another way. And there's .env. Yeah, I feel like that's a little bit more safe, so I'm going to go ahead with that. And we'll go back over to, I suppose, here. And I'm just going to grab that and put that there as well. We'll hit play, and that'll install both of them. Okay. And then I'm going to go back over to here, and we need our .env, so we'll go ahead and make that. New file .env. I'll rename this here, so env.txt. And we'll look for Hugging Face. Hugging Face envar, because it'll have a very specific name that it can load. API key. HF token, that's what it is. Okay, so I'm going to go back over to here. Again, trying to do it in a way that's safe. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab my Hugging Face API key here. And if somebody's smarter than me and thinks there's a better way, happy to hear it. But we'll save that there. And so I want to load that specific, like a very specific file. So I'll go back over to ChatGPT here. Okay, what if the file is called ev.txt? Can I load that? because there's probably a way to do that. There we go. So this is what I need. So we'll grab this. And yeah, so we'll grab this here. I'll go back over to here, and I'm just going to bring this down one. And we'll run that. And then we'll run this again. And so now it's downloading the model, okay? And so understand that when we are downloading models, it's good to be in the CPU mode here. But then when we want to actually do inference, we're going to probably want GPUs. If you had a very special type of CPU, like Intel Lunar Lake or a metal chip, they have iGPUs built in. So I would just say that we'll probably switch over to GPUs when we want to start using this. But you might have a machine that's not necessarily using the GPUs, but using the iGPUs. And we're not necessarily utilizing those here today. This actually could probably work with like a Xeon processor. So if we had like a Xeon 4 scalable processor with enough CPU, we could technically utilize it that way. But there's no harm. We can try to run it and see if it works. If it works with four CPUs with 16 gigabits of RAM, that's fine as well. But you know, we're not going to get the best performance. So again, we're letting that model download. It's going good. Device set to use CPU, which is totally fine because we are utilizing CPUs right now. So I'm going to go back over to here, and we have a bit of code here. So load the model directly. So actually this would probably download the model. What did this do then? Save tensors? No, it's downloading the stuff right here. Okay, where it downloaded, I don't know. So it definitely downloaded it here, and so then we have the tokenizer in the model. So go ahead and grab that. And we'll paste this in. It shouldn't download it twice. Auto tokenizer is not defined because we didn't import it. Oh, sorry. So this we can either do it this way or that way. Okay, sorry. So like I often do it this way, like load the model directly. But here we're using the pipeline. So let's read the high-level pipeline documentation and see how this might work. So we have the pipe. And then we can provide something here. So let's go ahead and grab that. Okay. That's why I was getting a little bit mixed up. So we'll go ahead and run it like this. It would say set padding ID and EOS token ID for open-end generation. It still worked. So this I think has something to do with embeddings or tokenization. And so there's some kind of underlying file we might have to tweak, but it clearly still generated out. So it says, this restaurant is awesome, the food is delicious, and the service is great. The only downside is in the location, I wouldn't. So we provided some text, and then it went to a certain degree. But let's go take a look and see if we can learn a little bit more about pipelines. So pipelines are a great way to ensure models for inference. Okay. The pipeline abstraction is a wrapper around all of the available pipelines, which makes sense. And so here we're doing text classification. But what did we do? We did text generation. So we have different types of pipelines there. So what might be interesting is to find out exactly where that information is for the different types of pipelines. The text is really hard to read here on the right-hand side. I'm just going to blow it up. I'm not sure why they make it like super gray. But I'm going to zoom out here. I'm imagining that pipeline is this one right here. So if we click into this, right? This is the pipeline I think we're utilizing. Okay. So we have pipeline, yep, and then we have generator. They just named, instead of naming it pipe, they named it generator based on what it is. Okay, and so that's an example of it working there. I was hoping that we could see a little bit more about the parameters, which I don't see, but that's totally fine. Another thing we could do is we could switch over to summarization pipeline maybe. So maybe we could try that for a second. The summarization pipeline. And so I'll scroll on down. And so here, what we could do is switch this out. Let's just see if this works. And I'm going to go back over to here, and we'll scroll up. And so I'm going to switch this out to summarization, right? I'm just guessing. I'm not really following. Well, I guess it has it right here, so I'm not necessarily guessing. And we have a few parameters here. So grab that there. And go ahead and run. It shouldn't download the model twice. That's fine. So it says the model llama for casual llama is not supported for summarization. So there are very specific models that can perform these things. And so it's just saying you cannot use the Meta Llama 3.2, 1 billion. So we would have to use something else. So here we can see we have BART for conditional, Big Bird Pegasus. I'm not familiar with most of these models, but let's go ahead and see if we can figure out what these are. So I might go here just see if I can search for this. Let's go over to here. As I'm not, again, not very familiar with these. Hugging Face Mario model. Let's go here, Mario MT model. And we found it over here. So it says, so we have a bunch of models here that are kind of directly supported. These are text models. A framework for translation models using the same models as BART. Translation should be similar, but not identical to it. Okay. And so here we are using the model this way. But I'm curious. I wonder what would happen. Okay, because we went to the summarization pipeline. And I wonder if I can just, well, here they're actually using the Google T5 base, which is fine. But I'm almost wondering if I could just drop in the Martin one. So let's go here. And I'm going to just try this. It might not work whatsoever, but I'm going to try anyway. It's probably going to say, I don't know what you're talking about. Is not a local folder or identified there. Yeah, I figured as much. So maybe it's just ones that are compatible with that, right? So let's see if ChatGPT can help us. So, I want to, in the summarization pipeline in Hugging Face. Okay, let's see if it can figure it out for us. It just says that we can do it. Okay, so it says it's for translation tasks. Okay, so here is the model. And that's what I was looking for. So I didn't really read the rest of that. I didn't really care. And again, I'm just going to point out, I'm not an expert in this stuff. It's just like you kind of start figuring out what to copy and paste and what doesn't work. The tokenizer cannot be instantiated. Please make sure you have sentence piece installed to use this tokenizer. So I'm going to go up here and just add it. This is, again, often what happens is that I have to constantly do this stuff. The current process just got forked. Okay, whatever. And I'm going to go ahead and try this again. So we'll run this again. And Hugging Face tokenizers. The current process just got forked after parallelism has been already used. Disable parallelism to avoid deadlocks. Sounds like something I wouldn't want to happen. The tokenizer cannot be instantiated. Please make sure you have sentence piece installed in order to use the tokenizer. So sometimes when you have issues, you need to restart. So I'm going to say restart kernel. Okay. And I'm just going to run this again. And then this one again. And then this one again. Well, let's see if we can kind of get this working. So here it says, recommend using Sarcomos. I don't know what that is. Let's go take a look. It is what? It looks like it's a tokenizer. And it looks like more like Scare Moses. Looks like Scare Moses now, that's saying. Scare Moses. That is going to be something there. So I'll do that. We'll restart the kernel. Okay, again, don't know what I'm doing, but I'm getting it to work. And that's all that really matters. I mean, you should know a little bit more, but now I'm not getting errors. This is not really a good summarization task, so I'm going to go ahead here. Can you give me a large amount of text for summarization? Okay. And it goes and goes and goes. Good. So I'm going to grab this text, right? And we're going to bring it on over to here. And so this is going to be my big amount of text. That's a lot of junk. I do not need all those lines. But I don't care. I'm just going to let it be like that because I can't even see what I'm doing. So run that, see if that works. Unterminated string literal. I knew it was going to do something weird like that. So I'm going to go here to the end. Yeah, just having a little bit of problems here. And so something, it doesn't like something in here. Because you can see that it's not terminating correctly, right? So I can just keep bringing it on to the next line here. Now it's highlighting properly. Excellent. So probably just the way I did multi-line. So your max length is 512, but your input is only 452. Since it's a summarization where, where's it says? With output shorter than input are typically wanted, you might consider decreasing the max length, okay? But it did go ahead and it attempted a summarization. Now it is doing something funny where it's showing French. However, if you look at the model, it says empty English to French. And so, you know, this model is intended for translation, English to French. Now we were using it here, right? But it's kind of interesting that it did produce French in this case. So that kind of makes sense. We can go down here and maybe let's use the Google T5 base. I'm not sure how large that one. Here it's suggesting that it uses the TensorFlow framework and it has to use this tokenizer. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it here and I'm going to paste it in. Okay, let's go run this. And pipeline cannot infer suitable model class for T5 base. So not sure why that's happening. So I'm going to go back to this. And so this is not obviously a very good example for translation, but let's go over to here. Maybe they have one for translation. They have a translation pipeline. Okay. So let's just go, this one's English to French. This one's English to French. This might be perfect. Is this one using the one that we're using? No, not necessarily. And so I'm going to switch this out to here. Okay. So we're going to take all this text out of here now. Holy smokes, that's long. Okay. And I'm just going to go down like this. And for those who know, I'm in Canada. And yes, we do speak French here, but not so much myself. They'll say, hello, how is your day going today, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and hit run here. And then we'll do this. Bonjour, comment se passe ta journée aujourd'hui? Oh, I don't know how to say that. But anyway, so, you know, we have that there. And so that is pipelines. Do I like pipelines? They're okay, but they do standardize stuff to a certain degree. There are all sorts of pipelines like natural language processing. We've got multimodal ones and things like that. But, you know, there are other ways that we might use it at a lower level for Hugging Face. We're going to do more with Hugging Face, but I'm just going to stop the video here. You can stop this environment whenever you want by going back over to here. I'm not going to stop it because I want to continue on, but I just want to give us a checkpoint here for this. Yeah, so if you want to stop that, you can just sleep it or delete it. If you really need to get rid of it, you can just delete it. And I suppose I could export this code in its current state if anybody wants to play around with this. I'm going to go ahead and download this, and then we're going to bring it into our repo. But we're just going to keep playing around in Hugging Face because there's so much to do in here, and I'm just not even sure what to show you. There's so much. So I'm going to just bring this into here for now. Hugging Face, right? And I'll see you here shortly here, okay?